Good evening, everyone. I am Ben with RGBG5, and tonight I'm going to explain to you why front-wheel drive is the best platform for a vehicle. Now, when I was originally thinking about making this video, I was thinking it's probably going to be clickbait and there's going to be a lot of hate. But when I started to think about the front-wheel drive platform outside of the performance automotive area, which is generally what I'm focused on this channel, I actually came up with a pretty good argument. So, without further ado, we're going to jump into why front-wheel drive vehicles are the ultimate platform. The first thing that we're going to touch on is the power loss. Generally, in a front-wheel drive vehicle, the power loss is about 10 to 15%. In other cars with all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, there's a lot more of a power loss, sometimes up to 30–45% is what I've seen on the higher end of that. The reason for that is because you have to think of the energy that it takes to go all the power in the engine that has to go all the way up the long drive shaft to the back wheels or the rear wheels, or if it's all-wheel drive, you have differentials in the front and the back, and there's just a loss of power there through the drivetrain, through the transmission, and all of that. The second thing that I want to bring up when talking about front-wheel drive vehicles is the weight of them. Now, all-wheel drive vehicles obviously weigh a lot more just because there's more structure underneath the car. There's rear differentials, there's the drive shaft. There's just a lot more going on in rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. There's more materials used. In turn, the car is going to weigh more. When your car weighs more, there's less feel in the car. It wants to fight you every chance it gets to go against a turn just because it has more weight. It wants to go in a straight line. It doesn't want to be moved around turns. It's going to be a lot harder to maneuver the car. And again, like I said, there's going to be a lot less feel. So with that, there's also less fuel efficiency. Now, all this engine has to do is produce the power, it puts it right in the front wheels, and it goes down onto the road and it moves you forward. There's a lot less power loss, there's a lot less materials used, there's a lot fewer materials used to be able to get the power down onto the road, and it has to travel far less of a distance. Now, I mentioned the weight of the car, but how much would an all-wheel drive system add to a car? Well, here's an example. This is a Focus ST. It weighs about 3,200 pounds. The Focus RS weighs about 3,400 pounds. That's another full-sized adult sitting inside of your car at all times, as opposed to 3,200 pounds in a front-wheel drive car that feels great and handles amazing, just no power to the rear wheels. Now, there are downsides to that. For example, the acceleration, putting the power down, while there might not be as much of a power loss, putting the power down through the front wheels because of how the car likes to sit when the torque kicks in early in your gears, wheels will not catch as quickly as a rear-wheel drive or as well as an all-wheel drive. Another reason why front-wheel drive is the best platform for a vehicle is because of the cost. Front-wheel drive vehicles in this day and age are now the most heavily produced vehicles, and the reason for that is because the engineering is a lot more simple. Like I said, you don't have the drive shaft, all that stuff. The engineering is simple. Engine up front, wheels that drive it right below, and you're all done. The ones in the back, they're just along for the ride. Because front-wheel drive cars are mass-produced, that means that the price is also a lot cheaper on them. For example, if you ever look at a car that is a front-wheel drive car and you look at the rear all-wheel drive option, the all-wheel drive option is generally about $2,000 more. Now, for some people, they need the all-wheel drive in the snow, but for where I'm at in Phoenix, Arizona, we get no snow here. Front-wheel drive is no issue. What I will say, though, is if you need to pick between a rear-wheel drive and front-wheel drive car and you do have to deal with snow on occasion, I would absolutely choose a front-wheel drive car. The reason for that is because you are being pulled by the wheels as opposed to pushed by the wheels. I've been in situations and had friends in situations where they have a truck and it's rear-wheel drive in the winter. And if you hit a patch of ice or snow and you could be driving up the road, and what you don't realize is the rear wheels are actually moving faster than the front wheels. And when you hit ice like that, the back of the car can actually turn and take you into a spin out. With a front-wheel drive car, you almost never have to worry about that. The only time that can happen is when there is lift oversteer, and that is when you let off the throttle and you're going pretty quickly around a turn. The rear wheels actually for a moment can be moving quicker than the front wheels. In this case, you can get the back end of the car to come out. This car is actually very good at doing that, but that's more from a fun to drive perspective and not necessarily for a safety perspective. Sometimes this car can actually handle like an all-wheel drive car, which is pretty impressive for a car that is front-wheel drive and all the work that those front wheels have to do. Another thing that is not often thought about is the interior space on subcompact cars. Taking the time and space to get this to all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive would actually cut into the interior space. For example, the assemblies that need to go into the back to power the rear wheels, sometimes the differential is oversized. It can take away trunk space, it can take away interior back seat space. It's just another reason as to why a lot of manufacturers will stick to the front wheels for powering a car. One of the things I want to address in this video that is brought up a lot lately in the automotive world is the Civic Type R and it being front-wheel drive, it not being able to put the power down and so on. I think of all the points I brought up, the most important from a driver's standpoint would be the importance of a lightweight car. If you have a lightweight car, you know how fun that is and the feel you get when driving it aggressively. The feel you get through the road, up through the tires, there's just not as much material to eat up the subtleties that you get in the road and the feedback, and you know exactly what the tires are doing. For example, in this car, it actually doesn't understeer that much. Now, obviously, if you push it hard, just like any car, it is going to understeer just because of the inertia moving forward. The feel that I get when I'm flying up a back road at full throttle, and because of how fairly light this car is, I mean, the Civic Type R is about 3,000 pounds. This is even 2,000 pounds heavier than that. The Civic is just a little better engineered, but it's just a really good feeling, and I don't know that I'd want to trade off for that. If anything, I would want this car to be rear-wheel drive because of how you'd still keep the weight down in that sense, and it would still be a pure driving experience, but then being able to have the lift oversteer and being able to drift it would be even more fun. So let's go back through everything. We talked about the efficiency of the car, we talked about the weight of the car, we talked about the cost of the car, we talked about in snow what you would rather have, front wheel drive or rear wheel drive. Definitely be front wheel drive just because of the safety. And I've had friends that have had rear wheel drive cars in the snow and they have no issues, but they're also fully paying attention to what they're doing and they're involved in their car. If you're someone that just gets from point A to point B and you're considering a rear wheel drive car, I would highly consider going with the front wheel drive option just because it is safer. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm interested to see what the feedback in the comments are below. If it were a performance car, I would absolutely want a rear wheel drive car. No doubt about that. I'm not arguing that. This argument is more for the sake of just the regular everyday car as to why that is the best platform, the cheapest platform, the most lightweight, the most fuel efficient. There's just a lot of arguments for it. And I'm interested to see what the feedback is. I was going to make this video a lot more cinematic by using my drone to be following me around as I'm talking with a microphone, but I'm having issues connecting my DJI Mavic Pro and getting image transmission back to the phone. So for some reason I'm having issues there. I'll get that fixed as soon as possible so I can continue to upgrade the video quality. But yeah, that's about it. If you're new to the channel, this is my Focus ST. It's a 2016. I've had it for almost 2 years now. The 2-year review will be coming up soon. And I do a lot of videos focused around this. And I also do videos on just performance cars in general, reviews, car news, all kinds of stuff. So if you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and turn on your notifications on your phone. Leave comments on what you think of the video. Give me feedback. I always pay attention to the comments. I read every single one of them. I get back to as many as I can, and I also take that advice. If you give me advice for future videos or if you're requesting a video, I definitely look at it, and sometimes I implement it. So thank you for watching. like the video. Even if you didn't like the content, you should like the video. It's the proper way. And we'll see you soon.